Welcome back, and in today's video we're going to be talking about bird photography and in particular shorebirds, and we're going to be using, yes, the Panasonic FZ82 yet again. Now normally I would start these videos out on location and probably stood in front of the sea. Yeah, that wasn't going to work this week. It was far too windy. In fact, it's still windy now. I'm hoping you won't hear that in the background, but yep, it's been blowing a gale all week. However, I did manage to go out and get some good images, so I'm going to do the video from in here. We're going to talk about the images and yeah, I'm going to put them on screen, and then we're going to discuss how I shoot with the Panasonic FZ82. Yeah, let's crack on. So first of all, we'll talk about camera choices. Yes, I had possibly one of 4 cameras to take out. The Panasonic FZ1000 I'm shooting on now, and the Nikon D3300. I could have also taken my elderly Olympus E410, but no, I elected to take the Panasonic FZ82, and I'll explain why I chose that camera right now. I'm sure to a lot of you who have really good camera equipment, you wonder why I persist with this little budget bridge camera, but there is one reason that this camera is great for bird photography, and that is the fantastic zoom that the camera has. Pretty much gets right in there, close-up photographs of the birds, and to be honest, compared with the other cameras I've got, it's the difference between getting the shot or not getting the shot. So the location for today's video was somewhere I'd researched earlier, and I knew that whether the tide was in or out, there were 2 areas I could use for either scenario, and I would be able to get some good shots of these shorebirds. So there were a couple of species I really wanted to get some good images of, and those were oyster catchers. Now there are a large flock of these birds in this area, and I was hoping to be able to get a few good shots of those. And also in the last few weeks I'd spotted a solitary curlew, and I wanted to get some more good shots of the curlew. I hoped it was going to be back. I mean, I think the last time I got a good photograph of one was over in Fuerteventura a couple of years ago, and I've not seen many in the UK, so I was really keen to capture some footage and some photographs of this bird. Now, I often get asked how I take my photographs with the Panasonic FZ82, and I'm going to explain that whilst we look at some of these images. There's no great secret to it. I'm not even sure I'm actually using this camera in the best way. You may have a technique that works better, and feel free to share it with us. It's all a learning experience for all of us. So firstly, as we're going to be taking photographs of potentially moving subjects, I do tend to like to use shutter priority mode on this little camera, and that's for the reason that I can use the thumb wheel on the back of the camera at any point in time to increase or decrease the shutter speed to make sure I can get a good shot. Now, in some of these images you'll see that I possibly could have used a higher shutter speed in some of the images. Certainly it was a case of having to sort of think what I was doing while I was taking the shots, because the birds are unpredictable. The next thing I do, and to be honest this can sometimes conflict with the fact that you want to use a high shutter speed, and that is to keep the ISO as low as possible. This camera does generate a lot of noise in the images if you go above ISO 400, and I like to make that pretty much the level that I won't go above. That can lead to problems with your shutter speeds, because the camera will want to use a high ISO so you can push the shutter speed. It's just something you have to balance between the two. So I like to set the camera up in burst mode. I wouldn't say it's 100% successful on this little camera. What I tend to find is that you will get some photos which aren't quite as sharp as the others through the burst, and not sure whether that's down to the camera moving as it's taking images, but I do find that, for example, your first shot may have been in focus, your second one will be out of focus, third one in focus, and so on. and it's not an exact science, but it's just what I've noticed with this camera. However, it is still better to shoot in burst mode than to shoot as a single shot. I also like to set the camera to record RAW files for the simple reason that it allows so much more adjustment in post-production when you're looking at your images. You can recover those highlights, you can lift shadows, all round you'll end up with a better image, especially when we are slightly hamstrung with this camera in some of its problems with noise and things like that. At least in post-production you can take some of that noise out of any of those images that you might find aren't really as good as you expected straight out of camera. So whilst we're talking about recording images, then I'll mention the memory card. I'm using a SanDisk memory card, 32 gig. It's a 120 megabyte per second card. It seems to keep up with the camera, no problem at all. So when it comes to autofocus, I did allude to the fact that I've been trying a new method. Now, hats off to Houghton, who devised this. It's basically a customizable focal area on the camera rather than using the standard single area autofocus or constant focus settings. Now, I felt as if I had much more success this time with coming back with a higher hit rate of good shots, so well done, Graham. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I will put a link to the video which shows you how to set this setting on your Panasonic FZ82 or FZ1000, any of the bridge cameras. I'll put a link in the description to that video and you can go there, watch the video, and Graham will explain how you set that up on your own camera. Overall, I was really happy with the images I managed to capture with this camera, and I think it just demonstrates what a good little camera this is for bird photographers on a budget. So right, you know what to do next. Hit that like button. If you've really enjoyed it, why not subscribe? It doesn't cost you a thing and you'll get to see more content that I produce. So yeah, so if you've really liked the channel and you enjoy the content, why not donate through the super thanks button? And I think there's a buy me a coffee link somewhere as well if you want to do that. It is a little bit more expensive though, but all the proceeds go into either fuel to go out to places to do vlogs, camera gear. It all gets spent on the channel anyway. So yep, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.